Or is this full-time MMA now?
I love full-time MMA right now.
Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full-time
MMA.
George St. Pierre recently spoke with Alex Oates. He also did an interview with Submission Radio. But in both of them, he talked about how he turned down the Nate Diaz fight and also spoke about the potential fight with Anderson Silva or the winner of McGregor versus Khabib. Now, shit is really starting to get interesting toward the end of 2018 as a UFC fan. I mean, we've got Nate Diaz potentially coming back versus Poirier. McGregor versus Khabib is official. GSP looks like he may be gearing for a return at the end of the year. I mean, if that does happen, there's a UFC pay-per-view coming up in Canada, UFC 231, and who would be better to main event that card than George St. Pierre himself, the champ, not the champ in the sense of Conor McGregor or George St. Pierre, because he didn't do it at the same time, but he still came back, fought at middleweight, defeated Michael Bisping, and grabbed that middleweight belt before leaving the sport for a little while again. He got colitis, and since then he hasn't really he's been undecided on who he's going to come back and fight, when he's going to come back and fight, if he's going to come back and fight. But if he does, there's been the ideas thrown around that potentially GSP wants to make history, come back at lightweight, and there was the idea of potentially a lightweight tournament with Conor McGregor versus Khabib, Nate Diaz versus GSP, and, you know, the winners, of course, squaring off in the biggest fight of UFC history. But with that being said, still, we got to see what plays out. It doesn't look like it's going to be a lightweight tournament. And actually, people are starting to talk about a potential fight with George St. Pierre and Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva, former middleweight kingpin, for arguably greatest fighter of all time. People really wanted to see Anderson Silva versus George St. Pierre back in the day, but the fight never came to for whatever reason. Now, if the fight were to happen, it would kind of be like Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao of MMA. Is it 5 years too late? Yeah. Do we still want to see it? Yeah. I mean, who knows? Even if the fight's going to be fireworks, but it's still a fight we want to see. We want to know who would win out of Anderson Silva and George St. Pierre, whether it happened 5 years ago or, you know, 5 months from now. We're going to be paying attention. That is a big fight. So that's a possible fight for GSP. But if that does happen, would George St. Pierre be returning to middleweight? That would be interesting, because one of the reasons he vacated the belt was it seemed George St. Pierre was not going to be returning to middleweight. And so if he fought Anderson Silva, you would think that fight was taking place at middleweight. So that would be interesting, but it's still a fight I would love to see. I mean, if GSP is going to come back to middleweight, I would either like to see him fight for the title or fight Anderson Silva. And if it's going to be Anderson Silva, I would not complain. But with that being said, the biggest fight that George St. Pierre and a lot of fans are aware of is Conor McGregor versus Khabib. Now, if George St. Pierre wants to make history and go down to lightweight, when would be a better time than fighting the winner of McGregor and Khabib? McGregor versus Khabib is already the biggest fight in UFC history. Now take one of the next biggest stars in the UFC history, George St. Pierre, and put him against the winner of that fight. Holy smokes! That's the next biggest fight in UFC history. So if GSP can actually make 155 pounds, that fight would be off the charts. Him versus the winner of McGregor and Khabib. And so he's still weighing his options, but this is what Alex Oates had to say. Spoke with George St. Pierre. He confirmed he had been offered a fight with Nate Diaz, but declined it, saying he had nothing to gain from that fight. George St. Pierre is also weighing up a super fight with Anderson Silva, but he has a bigger fight in mind. All will be revealed soon. Of course, that bigger fight, likely the winner of Khabib and George St. Pierre. The winner of Khabib and Conor McGregor is who George St. Pierre would like to face. But if that doesn't happen, you know, honestly, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know it would be the biggest fight, but do you guys think George St. Pierre at this stage in his career could make 155 pounds? Especially given the fact that he's coming from 185, right? It's not like he's even jumping down one weight class. The last time we saw George St. Pierre in the octagon, he fought at 185 pounds. Would he be able to jump all the way down to 155? It's possible. I mean, you know, he had the colitis and you know, it's not like he was a huge 185er. He wasn't even the biggest welterweight. So, I mean, and maybe for the money it would be worth it. You know what I'm saying? You know, I know it would suck trying to drain your body to 155, but damn, a $50 million paycheck might be worth it, and I think that might be attainable if George St. Pierre was able to fight the winner of Conor McGregor and Khabib. So it's a great time to be an MMA fan. With that being said, there's a lot of the biggest stars in the UFC coming back, it seems. Whether it's McGregor, whether it's Khabib, whether it's Diaz, whether it's GSP, we could literally be seeing all of those guys fighting at the end of 2018. So on top of that, we've got some possible champion versus champion super fights coming up. Who knows? We might even see Brock Lesnar at the beginning of 2019. We got a bunch of madness coming up. It's a great time to be an MMA fan, and as of right now, UFC specifically. But hey, Bellator's got some cards coming up too, and first champ super fight, so fuck it. It's just great to be an MMA fan. With that being said, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. And before we go, shout out to all the full-time MMA white belts that have hit the subscribe button. Make sure you also hit the bell right next to it so you get notified every time I upload a new video, or some of the time that I upload a new video, because YouTube's notification bell is a player hater. But this is one of the hardest working independent MMA channels on YouTube. We provide daily updates, full fight card breakdowns and predictions. We make MMA fighter freestyles, and we've already interviewed pro fighters Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley, Felony Charles Bennett, and Bruce Lushmedio in just a little over a year as an MMA channel. We're one of the fastest growing MMA channels on YouTube. So with that being said, if you're interested in more videos like this, check out the Full-Time MMA Dojo over at patreon.com. One of the things you can see while you're over there are some of the goals of the channel, and also more free videos like this, betting advice, and more. We just launched the Full-Time MMA store over on teespring.com, and we've got some limited edition gear in order to celebrate that. We've got some Day One Foop the Other Side shirts that are only available for a limited time. Also, you got leggings, phone cases, Don't Be a Bagel Biter, coffee mugs, and more. With that being said, you can check the links out in the description if you want to check out the Full-Time MMA Dojo or the Full-Time MMA store on Teespring. I apologize about the long outro, but a closed mouth don't get fed, and if I don't plug myself, who will? So respect. Let the Full-Time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking DOG.